Welcome to the Lynn and Scott show and all our friends that always join us. We already have 3 in the backstage. And look, one's already dancing back there. I love it. Look, I want to bring him up. He's dancing. The one and only Bob Donnell.
Kind of catchy.
Yeah, he's got the book right here.
I don't know. 2 days in a row with Bob is a bit much for anybody.
I know.
Oh, but then there's a better half of him. Miss Flo. Hi,
there we go.
Hi, Flo. Thanks for being here. And then this guy coined himself as my internet husband, Mr. One and Only. He's Mark today.
Mark.
How is everyone doing today?
The man of many names and roles.
Fans.
There you go.
Very adaptable.
I was watching the Wizard of Oz for like the 1000th time, and that song just it never gets old, right?
Right.
Well, see the wizard.
The man of many voices too.
Yeah.
Yes, many voices, many faces. It's just another name for our friendly neighborhood schizophrenic. Thanks for joining us today.
You got it.
Everyone's welcome here. We love everybody.
Yeah.
So, look at Bob's just popping himself up right in here.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, this is great. So Bob and I were on Scott's show last night with Gary, and he has a quick update for us. So if you want to share that real quick, Bob.
Yeah, just if people were watching the show last night, my show partner, co-host Gary had to leave about 10 minutes into the show. He had to leave because he got a call from somebody he was helping to get into addiction treatment. And one of the things we train is you don't do it tomorrow, you don't do it in an hour, you do it now.
Right.
Because these days with fentanyl and everything else, there might not be a tomorrow. So you help people now. He actually, he got up and he went out, he got the guy into treatment. It was a struggle. The guy walked into treatment, then he left, and then he came back, and then he left, and then he came back. And as far as I know now, he has nailed himself to the floor, and he's in getting help today.
Good
so, and it was a crisis situation because the gentleman went in with extremely low blood pressure, because of the alcoholism. And so these are always crisis situations, and that's what we teach people. And that's why Gary did what he did. And if I ever have to jump up and leave because of a situation like that, I will apologize in advance, but that's what we do.
Amen.
Thank you, Dennis. I love Dennis Camp. We got to get that Texan in here sometime. He's Spitfire. Love you, Dennis. So,
okay.
So that's no. Oh, did you play that too at the same time?
No.
Oh, okay.
We're good.
All right. Anyhow, so today we were going to have a topic, and I was like, I don't know. I just figured we'd just be off the cuff here. I think Mark lost something over there. Are you in the land of lost?
I heard a dog. They didn't know where it was coming from.
Oh, a dog. You got more sounds over there that you don't even know you have.
No, someone has a dog.
Maybe it's a cat.
That was barking.
Oh, maybe it was my dog, but I didn't hear him barking.
No,
so maybe it's mine.
It's okay. He's got a few extra voices in his headset today, ladies and gentlemen. It's all right. It's all right.
We're battling.
We just gotta go with it. Everybody nod and say yes. That was a large pink elephant. Thank you. Yeah.
I love you, Mark. I love you.
Nobody's gonna stop Mark from going off one day. You just don't want to be sitting next to him when it happens. All right. So
wow.
He's got something for that.
You're a good guy, Mark. You're a good guy.
He's a good sport too.
Appreciate it.
You know, one of the things I was thinking about today, and this is just something just off the cuff that I was thinking about today, was I love what I do, and that's such a blessing. I mean, not many people in their lives get to do what they love to do, and I had to think back to how many times I did things that I didn't love doing, and I can't believe some of the things that I've done in my life and some of the jobs I held. Everything from being a hot tar roofer to I used to clean morgues after autopsies. Yeah, I mean, I went through a whole myriad of things, and and then the worst of all was making infomercials.
Oh yeah, infomercials.
No, we're not doing that again.
Do you love a green lawn? Do you love a clean?
Something like that.
Yeah, like that.
He's all serious about that rake.
in our progression, a lot of people when they see me or talk to me today, they're like, you got everything together. They didn't see the process in me getting from where I was to where I am now. But don't we all have that? Isn't that like natural? And I just want to kind of like strip away everybody tonight, and see, where did your process take you? What are some of the weird places you've been? Jobs that you've done.
I think it's really cool that you said that, because I'm analyzing. I'm getting myself into 2 different masterminds. Matter of fact, we are going to stop right at on time, because I'm starting a new mastermind class that I'm going to, and then I'm going to be going Monday and Thursday to another one. Well, long story short, I'm just surrounded by so many great people. Like, I still need to get to know Bob and Flo better, and I've realized that I have like my introvertness and my core people around. I'm expanding that and expanding other people, and to be successful, you have to be around the right people. I've been very successful in a lot of businesses and things I've done, but yet I've learned that I've shifted how I want to handle that now. But again, it's the lessons I've learned, and then going forward, and who having in my circle. So I just going through that whole thing again, that I even stopped my last 2 shows for this week of Live, Love, Laugh, because I'm growing again and I'm moving things to the next level, and I see the vision and reverse engineering it. And so, it's one of those things where I'm in a humble position, but it's hard for being an introvert to go outside your element. And it's hard for anyone, but truly the whole thing of, we're all capable of doing what we are, and we need to let go of the fears of what it seems like to anybody else, because we do have purposes here, and we do have to help one another, even though sometimes I feel like I rather help than get help. And so I've learned that I gotta not be selfish that way. And, and it's an inside job that's coming out. But like you said, stripping yourself from where you've been and where you're going, it is layers of onions. You've got to shed that old snake skin, get the new skin in, feel the new skin, accept it, and go forward. So that's where I've been, just shifting. And then usually this time of year, I'm traveling to see my dad or going to New York and family. So I'm itching traveling. And I think I'm doing that September, October. And yet, so it's just a transition of knowing, my dad's getting older and I want to see him, and, the way life is. So it really is just a transition of everything that's going on, and accepting where you're at and where you want to go. And so this is a great topic.
As long as we embrace that too, though, because if I play back my life, it's like a freaking Forrest Gump movie on steroids. I mean, it's just like all these different things I've done, and but each one of them lends itself to some part of me today. So I'm sure you guys have all had the same kind of journeys where it's like, if you look back, it's like, I can't believe that's the person I used to be, or those are the things I used to do, or that's the job I used to have. Am I right on that, guys?
Yeah,
absolutely. Right. Absolutely. And Mark, not to put you on the spot, but I've known Mark the last 2 years, going on 3 years now. And I'm just so happy to see where he's going with his life and the things he's doing. And so, Mark, if you don't mind me.
Well, I'm learning from this group. I mean, Barry, you are just a wealth of information. I was reading one of your quotes where Barry says, the only way to get over someone is to get under someone else. And I really, really appreciate
It's not 50 ways to leave the lover. It's 50 ways to love your lover.
I'm joking.
I was like, where's the popcorn?
Oh my god!
Look at some of that crackle stuff that's like crack.
Now that's a freaking book that would sell. Get over somebody by getting under someone else. I love that.
Yeah. Oh my god.
So, Scott, what you said was just so true. And sometimes we don't realize that the very things that we're doing is in preparation for whatever our future calling is, right? Yeah. So I've got this amazing opportunity to impact people's lives in the automotive industry. Today, I was giving a workshop to about close to 30 people, from all different positions. There's salespeople, call center representatives in automotive dealerships, and there are these programs out there that are designed to help these folks be able to maximize, the ability to get a customer to make a decision to buy something. And so when there's a program that says, okay, Scott, right now he's driving a 2018 Toyota Camry, and he's got equity in his car, and if we can get him out of his car and put him into a lower payment, or he's coming up on his warranty, which means that if he doesn't do something, if there's a major, something happens to his car, he's gonna have a huge liability. And so what I got across to these people today was all that stuff, all of those talking points, they only have value when you show up as the person who really cares about them, right? When you show up as the best version of yourself in service to this customer, right? So if I call up Scott and I say, hey, Scott, it's Mark Rodriguez, only from ABC Motors. Hey, first of all, I want to just introduce myself. I know that you're a salesperson, Lynn Serrano. She's no longer with the dealership, and I've been appointed to be your point of contact to help you with the remaining, let's say, 4 months of your lease. Just want to let you know I'm here to answer any of your questions, right? In fact, I want to inform you of the updated lease end process. But before I do that, can I ask you a question? How has your experience been with the vehicle? Do you still have the vehicle? If there was one thing you wanted to change, what would that be? Oh, I need more room. I'm glad we're talking now. So everything that I train it's moving towards a shift. So the shift that we make in our own lives, I was speaking with someone, and just this week, and I was sharing with this person the voices. That's funny. Scott
I told you the voices were coming in here.
That clip is going to be there forever now.
So that voice that said,
little voice in his head, buy the car, buy the car, buy the car.
You're not worthy, right?
We're not worthy.
That boy, you're
not worthy. You're the voice. No, there were different voices in my life, these different people in my life that didn't have the best messages for me. Right. It didn't serve me. And so I'm learning that when something doesn't serve me, I'm learning to just stop and say, I cancel and clear that negative thought. That's my past. It's not my truth. I clear and cancel that negativity. That was my past. It's not my truth. And let me tell you, that has really helped me to kind of step out and into a better version of me, so I'm able to serve others. So yeah, there were jobs I've done. I was a bartender, I was a waiter, I was a car salesman, I was a I painted churches, cleaned urinals.
Graffiti, it's graffiti.
Graffiti, right? I've done, but all of these. So the job as a doorman and a elevator guy at a luxury high-rise building made me appreciate the problems I didn't have. And here's what I mean by that. I was on the low rise and I couldn't understand. I was on the midnight shift, 6, 7, 8 a.m. in the morning. Couldn't understand. The door would open. I'd say, good morning, Mrs. Right, whatever the person's name. Good morning. Nothing, or what's good about it. And you have to be a multimillionaire to live in this building. I'm saying, wow, how miserable.
Yeah.
How miserable can you be? Like, so you've reached the apex, you've reached the top, and you still feel empty. I know we're gonna end with there's a hard stop here, but Scott, I appreciate the opportunity to talk. So I'm
that's awesome.
Learning, I'm still growing. I'm still, for me, it's about healing this relationship this negative relationship I had with myself.
Yeah.
And right now I'm dealing with lots of pain on my knees. I'm dealing with things that they're tough. They're really, really tough. And but I'm waking up every day as my feet hit the floor. It's going to be a great day. Like, I thought about today's workshop like a week ago. I meditated on it last night. I'm like, you know what? I am going to show up as the best version of me. In fact, I called the dealership last week, all those stores. I called them to tell me about this person you're sending. I want to know a little bit more about them. And they were like, what? No one's ever called us to find out about the people we're sending. I go, no, I want to make sure that they come back better than you left them.
Absolutely.
And they were like, a few of the GMs, they were like, hey, do you do in-house training? I go, absolutely. So I picked up a few accounts just by trying to show up and provide more value to the people that they were paying to attend my workshop. But that wasn't my goal. That wasn't my intention. My intention was because I realized they're sending people out when they could be making money at the store, right? So it's a burden I have to want to deliver amazing value. And let me tell you, these people were so grateful. They were just so, I mean, you could, and that's the biggest joy for me when I see a person come in one way and they walk out feeling so good about themselves and wanting to take action. That for me, that's payment. That's worth it all. And when I left, I was, dead ass tired. I left it all. You ever give a workshop and you just leave it all there? You're just physically drained. That's
absolutely.
And absolutely. Great. Scott, thank you.
It's the only way. Hey, brother, listen. I love everything you said. I mean, just putting that talk away, that people, the negative talk that we've all heard in our lives, that becomes our self-talk. It's not something. It doesn't hurt us when somebody else is doing it as much as when we adopt it to become our own self-talk. And remembering one thing I remind people is, before you could just get rid of it, the first thing you got to figure out is, why do I believe it? And once I could change my belief systems, then this negative self-talk no longer has any power, and nobody else's talk has any power over me. As long as I understand my own belief systems. If I'm believing it, people are going to hurt me left and right. We didn't give Barry a proper hello. Hey, Barry.
Hi, Barry.
Barry.
He always comes in. He's always the thinker in the group. You ever notice he's always sitting there like this?
I want to say a couple things.
He's like trying to figure out what the hell we're all talking about half the time. I think he's actually watching soap operas and like a TV on the other side of the screen.
I want to say a couple comments to what Mark said.
Yes, please.
Mark, he listens to people, and then he knows to talk and bring value to that, for one. And also, Mark, you want to change your verbiage now from a burden, but a pleasure.
Sure.
And because you say it would be the pleasure to help these people. I'm burdened. When you said, how did you say it again? You said something about the burden of,
Well, these are salespeople who are instructed to leave their stores when just one opportunity could be like a $5,000 commission.
Right.
It could be 5,000. But this is the environment that we're in right now.
Right.
So I take it very, very seriously. If they're coming to my workshop for 6 hours, that they're not in their store, I want to give them more value than their dealer paid to have them come in. But I get your point. I appreciate that.
Because of that. Yeah, because it just, we all need help with our verbiage to make sure. But what I'm saying, because you don't mean a burden, you mean the pleasure of giving them everything you've got. Whereas when you say a burden, that puts negativity on you and stress on you.
I was very intentional when I said the word burden. That is the word I chose to use, and I was intentional about it, and that's the word I use.
Okay.
I feel the burden. I feel that burden of these folks not being in their store, right? Not being there, being able to take advantage of all these selling opportunities. People aren't going into stores because they need a car, because they want a car. They're going because they need a car. So it's very intentional when I use that word, Lynn.
Yeah.
But thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I'm just saying you're a great person, and
I appreciate that.
I just want you to know that you're giving them something amazing is what I'm saying on behalf of. So I think Bob knows what I'm trying to say here, and he
Sure,
can probably
no,
articulate
absolutely.
better. But I felt the urge to tell you that you're giving them something amazing that for whatever they're missing
received
out.
that.
Okay, good.
I totally
What were
received
you
that.
saying there, Barry? What were you saying there, Barry?
Yes,
I would say
Barry.
the word I would use rather than pleasure, because pleasure doesn't necessarily fit the energetic. The word I would come up with is responsibility.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Your
Yeah, there you
responsibility to
go.
make sure there's value. It's like when somebody makes a movie, hopefully they make a responsibility. They can deliver something of value to the audience.
Yeah,
That sort of thing.
Absolutely.
It's like
Yep.
part of the package, So
awesome.
just a thought.
Thank you so
Excellent.
much
Hey,
for that.
It's all in the words. It's all in the words. Bob,
Christopher Roush.
Christopher, it is a party here, brother.
Christopher.
And
Bob,
he has a show later on too.
While I was talking about like these jobs in the journey and looking back, I saw you nodding your head a whole lot. Were you following along with what I was talking about?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, but I was very blessed early on in my life to have great mentors that taught me that everything that you're going through is going to be for a purpose, for something or for someone in the future. And so I created a whole process called price paid. And so when I look at something in my life, the price that we've paid is every experience, good or bad, every environment, every relationship, everything that we've ever experienced, good, bad, or indifferent. That's the price we've paid to be who we are today. And so we can look at it as an expense in which we expect nothing other than just expenditure, or we can look at it as an investment. And the difference between expense and investment, we always look for return on. And so I look at all those experiences, whether it be the death of my daughter, whether it be, getting hit by a drunk driver, whether it being, my brother committing suicide, no matter what it is, experience in my life, or every job that I've ever had. I've had multiple jobs. It sounds like, Scott, you and I probably have had a very similar. I mean, I've sold tractors, I've sold equipment, I've sold coffee, I've had a distribution where I took coffee around to different offices. I mean, I've done all that.
Good job.
I look at it and I know that all that was the price that I paid to be who I am today. And so I think all those experiences, but I think far too often people look at it as the experience as the reason why, look how many things I've done. I can't do this, especially when you come out of, college and somebody, an employer says, well, it looks like you got a lot of jobs. Damn straight I have. And I've learned a hell of a lot from each one of them. What have you done lately?
It's whenever you look upon one of those things with a negativity, like that really sucked and it was horrible. You're kind of missing the reward, the lessons, and the life instruction that you got from that, don't you?
Yeah. But it's a lot easier to look back and go, oh, I learned something from that.
Yeah.
Than when you're in the midst of it, I think sometimes, and I think that's the thing, is the magic is when you're in the midst of it and you can settle in enough to go, what am I going to get from this? What am I going to learn from this? My whole thing was I wanted to learn human behavior. So whether it was selling tractors or delivering coffee to an office or whatever, it didn't matter, because I was going to learn a different element of human behavior in each one of those circumstances. So that's all I was looking for. But I think in the midst of it, if you can do that, I think, man, in the midst of it, it's good. It's a good thing. And you walk away with even more experience than if you have to look back 10 years later.
Speaking of being in horrible places, there's Debbie checking in from Belize.
There she is.
She's from Belize. She's in Belize.
We love Debbie.
Yes, we love her. We love her.
Miss her.
Yes, I miss her too.
Teodora's
awesome. Going to Romania to go get her daughter. So yeah. So
I would love to hear from the beautiful Flo. I mean, have you had these kind of experiences where your journey has been all over the place to get you where you are now?
Oh, yeah. I was a little kid when I had to work on the farm, and that was a chore. And my whole story is I came full circle because, and now I make, jellies and jams and all that. So, I mean, I hated working in the field. When summer school was out, all the kids were like, yay, we're in summer school. And I was like, can I go to summer school? I just don't want to work in the field. So I was the one that came up with every excuse to get out of the field, which was go in the kitchen and cook something. So, but like as Bob said, at the time, and you're in the midst of it, I was like, I hated it. But now I look back and I'm like, okay, yeah, I enjoy gardening. Because I'm used to it, and That was just, it's something that I was taught. So it just took me a long time to evolve and get to that point, to go full circle and go back to my roots of
working with nature and working with the soil. It's no wonder you just have this beam of light with you, working with the earth and your stuff. And that crackle stuff is like, it's the new crack. That's all I got to tell you, because it's addicting. It is. And
I'm surprised Barry has kept it intact in the bag that he was showing.
Don't ask me for my bags.
I want to say,
Barry, what are you doing? Hoarding it, buddy? What are you doing?
No, I just got the bag a couple of days ago, and I basically, let's just be clear, I do have a penchant, have you said that word, a penchant for desserts, and I had to make a really good chocolate mousse, and I haven't finished it yet. So I'm trying to save the peanut till after the chocolate's done.
You got more restraint than I do.
Hey, years of practice.
I would have said, you know what? What's a great thing to dip in chocolate mousse?
Well, that's the thing is, I've been breaking some of the pieces up on top of that, so that's definitely something I'm doing. But it also that spreads it out.
There you go.
Make sure you seal that bag.
Flo, I do get you though, because that's a real interesting kind of working on farms and working on fields and things like that. It's a connection to nature. It's a connection to everything else, but it's also just hard, god awful work sometimes. I spent the summer picking tomatoes. I would pick tomatoes before, well, it was actually the fall, but I would pick tomatoes before I go off to school. And there's nothing like being out in the field at 5 a.m., putting your hand out to grab a tomato and get a rotten one, and your hand like goes through it. And you just stand there. It's like, this is the most god awful thing. But that was when I was a very young child. And the reason I took the job was so I wouldn't have to be in my home. But what it taught me was that there's a reward in work, no matter how bad it is, you could find a reward. So that's really cool. That's cool. And now you've got your own company there.
Yep.
And go ahead, just tell people, how do they find you?
We'll put the link in the we'll put the
these guys wait, these guys are holding up their books every 3 seconds. You can plug for yourself. Don't worry about it. Go ahead.
Aw, thanks. It's farmgirledibles.com. No, not that kind of edibles, Scott. I know you may. I got a little excited there.
I didn't check the ingredients, to be sure.
You don't limit your product, Flo. That's all I'm going to say. You named it edibles, not me. That's all I got to say.
No, I love it.
PHARM, not the FARM.
Okay. Farmgirledibles.com. Check it out. Great products. And we all love what you do, so that's awesome. That's awesome. I haven't written a book yet, but I got some writings on paper if anybody wants to buy one of these.
I only have 4 jars left of her stuff. I don't know how long that's going to last me. No,
I've got to wait for like 4 more people to die before I can write a book without actually putting myself in danger. Barry,
yes,
tell us about your journey. I mean, obviously you didn't just wake up come out of the womb as a child and say, I think I'm going to help people with relationships.
Not even close. I was a math technical kid going to school. So, and I started working in pubs when I was 15 back in England. And I remember I was working at one place I worked at, the pub. Just love English history. This pub was built in 1624. It had sunk into the ground, or they built up the road around it. So basically, you stepped down into it. It was one of these like really ancient buildings. I mean, you can feel the gravitas there. But that was like my first. I did paperboy as a kid before that, but basically working in the pub was my big sort of recognition of people. And I don't think the seeds were planted then, but I've always felt like serving people was kind of like fun, joyful thing for me to do. And even when I was at school, then, but I've always felt like serving people was kind of like echoes around. Okay. During high school, I was kind of the safe kid the girls didn't date, but I was the shoulder they cried on. That was my gift.
That's
been my skill throughout life. I mean, I've always been sort of the safe person they could go to. And
we had another name for those
Yeah. It felt that way
losers.
sometimes.
But,
Yeah.
no,
It wasn't
I
good
get
for
it.
my dating life, put it that way. So
Right,
that was
right.
the thing. But I've had, I mean, my careers are all over the map. I mean, I was a computer programmer from high school. Went to college. I was doing a bachelor's in computer science, which I didn't finish. But I've been in graphic design, printing, customer service, tech support. I mean, lots of academic stuff. I mean, sorry, lots of commercial stuff. And the work I do now is because of an epiphany I had after the third bad breakup. So really, it wasn't personal life that bled into my professional life in a way.
Oh, okay.
Because that was the course correction. So I realized my work had to be what I love doing, which is helping people love better.
Interesting. So when you're working in English pub, are the options? Would you like a warm bitter beer or a warm bitter beer? Is that pretty much?
No, I mean we had. I mean, yes, most of the beer on tap were not refrigerated. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's
but
so
we had
wrong.
lots of yeah, but a lot of people drank. I mean, you do shandies and stuff. I mean, shandies was one of my go-to drinks when I was before I was 18. Didn't have a full beer and had shandy, which is like that was lemonade with beer. The lemonade was cold, so that would cool it down that way.
Okay, lemonade with beer. That sounds like
Hey,
coming up.
Go to shandy.
You know what? A great place to be having something like that. I just got this footage from Debbie. Hey, she ain't right. She ain't right. You know what, Scott? When I come down to Florida and she's in Ohio, you know where we're going, right? We're going to Miami. We're gonna make her a video.
What, on Miami Beach or something? Or we'll
Yeah,
go to South.
yeah.
We'll go to South Beach.
Wherever.
We'll
we're
go to
just
South
going
Beach.
somewhere
Yeah.
and send her a special video.
You got it.
Yeah, that'll be September when it's getting a little chilly in Ohio.
So the whole point of this was, like I said, I was thinking it's like all of these strange things that I've done, and all the things that I thought were things that tore me apart were actually things that I've learned from and that built me up. And I know a lot of people get stuck in I'm not where I want to be, or they're ashamed of their past and stuff like that. You can't be ashamed of your past. Some of the greatest people that have lived have pasts that were questionable, have made mistakes, have done the wrong things, and it's not often that I'll meet somebody that just came out squeaky clean and they've done everything right their whole life. It just doesn't happen. What about how about Lynn and Scott show conference in South Beach? Okay, yeah, we'll have a conference. You guys all come out to South Beach, and
it's easy for you to say you live there. No, just kidding.
I know. It's like a half-hour drive for me, though. I don't know if I'm going to make it.
But Scott, it's funny you say about all the careers and things, because starting at sixth grade, I started helping friends with relationships and stuff, and I wasn't interested in getting into relationships because I had been in a horrific sexual stuff and whatnot, but I always helped my friends and stuff. And then moving forward, when I moved to Montana here, my ex-husband had lost his job, and he's like, you got to get a job, and we have 3 little girls. And I'm like, well, so I decided to get inventory and start my own lingerie, adult novelties, and blah, blah, blah in this town. I didn't know anybody. And next thing you know, I did over 2,000 parties, got to know a lot of people. But the thing is what people didn't know for that the 10 years of doing this, that people were like, I bet you have a great time, at home with your husband. But what they didn't understand is my marriage was not like that. My marriage was far from that. And I used to tell people, how the car mechanic's car is always the last one to get fixed? I'm the car mechanic. But what really helped me was that I was helping everyone else's relationships when I couldn't help my own. And that was an avenue that made me feel really, really happy that I could contribute, because it's something I did from the time I was in 6th grade. I've always been a relationship specialist, and I help couples now and stuff like that. I don't always talk about it, but it's truly something that, comes full circle. So I love having these shows and putting people together and stuff. And Barry and I will be having a show this fall. We're going to talk about relationships and stuff. And I think we're almost close to having a name and stuff. But it is very interesting how, instead of fixing what I knew I could do in my relationship, I gave the advice to other people and made their lives and relationships so much better than mine could be. And so that gave me happiness in helping others when I couldn't help myself. So yeah, it's amazing.
But there's something inherently that is American about that, I think, probably worldwide, where, do for others what you can't do for yourself. But at one point we've got to learn how to take care of ourselves and to nurture ourselves and to grow ourselves and to feel good about ourselves. So, I mean, that's got to be a point in the journeys. I know a lot of guys out there. All of you guys are all helping people who put themselves out there, and you have a good sense of self. But there's a lot of people out there that are doing this coaching thing and doing these other things. They have no sense of self. All they're doing is figuring out it's not sense of self, it's sense of sales. They know what sells and they know what to say to make sales. You can tell the difference between somebody who is about themselves and about the truth and somebody who's just about trying to get something from you, right, guys? I mean, you could see that.
Absolutely. I would downsell a lot of stuff sometimes, tell people, look, you don't need this stuff. What you need to do is do this, and that. And I built a lot of relationships because of the honesty of not to make a sale, but to keep the friendships and the relationships I have, which I'm very blessful for having. But I also can live by that. And I'd say, okay, I never tried this, but such and such. No, I wouldn't say such and such because everything's confidential, but I'd say, hey, I have a lot of people that are happy with this or that. And it's one of those things where you have confidence and you build these relationships to help other people. But, and I've taken coaching courses to teach people and stuff. And the bottom line is I wouldn't teach. If anything, from taking a coaching course is I've learned definitely those aren't ways to do it. That's what I have learned. And yet it's sad that there are so many people that are desperately needing help. And because their price points are so high, they invest the farm in it. And yet it's not what they need because the course isn't listening to what the person needs. Everyone's individual and everyone needs.
So let me just speak to that coaching for a minute because after I got my master's degree, I was looking at coaching opportunities. Being in my master's program, which is spiritual psychology, I saw the path that would take me to being to be a counselor or a therapist. That has a structure that is licensed and certified. Coaching organizations don't have that. So the standard for coaching is very uneven.
Yeah.
So there are great coaches out there. Absolutely.
Wait, is there a standard for coaching?
Because who reads their ethics? Who's the ethical police on that one?
Barry, I feel it.
And I'm in LA, and there's lots of coaches that pop up all the time here, probably all over the country too. Yeah. But the thing about it for me is that, and it's funny, what I watch is how people's branding doesn't match their reality.
Yes.
Or their message doesn't match who they are. Like they speak a good, they talk good talk, but they don't walk the walk. And what you're saying, Lynn, about that thing about helping other people. I mean, I've been single 16 years, and I coach about relationships. And people challenge me on that all the time, and I have no problem telling them because I don't have an issue with like, well, don't look at me, look at what I do. Right. Because for me, it's like, no, the work I've done on myself and the healing of my past relationships, what I help other people with, because I've done the work. And not to say I'm special or anything, but it's like, for me, coaches have to be people who know enough about life. Because when you're a life coach, you know about life to be able to help other people with life. But when you've got 25-year-old life coaches, I'm like, what life experience do you have?
Yeah.
Frankly.
Do you have any kids?
It's you see this on sitcoms. You got somebody living on their friend's sofa, and their friend says, you got to get a job. And he goes, I'm going to be a life coach. You're living on your friend's freaking sofa.
All the time.
Bob, they're still out there working too, aren't they, buddy?
Oh my gosh. It's hilarious.
It's scary. You have financial advisors who have no investments.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Right.
And they're telling you what to do with your money. And meanwhile, they have no portfolio.
No.
Exactly.
It's scary.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, is there a way? I mean, there is no standard in that.
No,
and like I said, our experiences build who we are, but it doesn't build who we are unless we really draw off of them. It takes an effort. It's not about just because I lived through something, I've grown from it. You've got to actually draw from that. That's why you never close the door on the past. You move beyond it, but it's always there so that you can draw those experiences and draw new thinking from those experiences. Even today, as I look back, I see different things that I couldn't see 10 years ago or 5 years ago or a week ago. Yeah. But Bob, I mean, how are we going to figure out who is the real deal ours?
Ask
I think
questions, he said.
I think that's a great question.
It-
And I think one of the things I've come up with is that, when I was teasing about the standard, I don't think that there really can be a standard for coaching because, otherwise you have certification programs, which can give you a semi-standard, but the standard is going to vary from individual to individual. Like I don't do one-on-one coaching. I do it $2,500. Now, some people go, man, that's just way too much money. Why are you charging so much? And I go, for 4 hours. That's what because one, I don't want to work with people that are in limited thinking to the point where they think that they can't do something. So I set that as my standard, but I wouldn't advise that for everyone else.
Right.
I have 6 criteria that everyone must meet that I work with or that I'm personally involved with. In that 6 criteria, one of them is that they have to be open-minded. Well, not everybody would I say you need an open-minded person, but for me, I know that I do things differently and I'm going to get frustrated or they're going to get frustrated with me if they're not open-minded. So that's one of my criteria. If they don't meet it, it doesn't mean that they can't get coaching. They're just not going to get coaching from me. And to the point that I believe that there's a coach for everyone and there's a client for everyone. So somebody who's charging $100,000, there you go, Tony Robbins or whoever, right? And then there's somebody that's like, man, I'm just really trying to figure out how to write my first book. Well, then there's a great coach that can help him with the book and do it for a minimal amount or whatever it is. So the standard for me really has to be variable. All I know is that the industry has been manipulated and lied to, in my opinion. And when I hear people say, and I don't want to step on any toes, but when I hear somebody say, I wrote a #1 best-selling book on Amazon, and they think that's the life. That's and
you can manipulate that.
Do that, you're going to have a thriving business, and you're going to have all this money coming in, or all these speaking engagements, and it's not true. So all I say is just everyone just, kind of seek your own truth, what that is. Get counsel from multiple people, not one person that's deriving an income from you. And I think the best thing we can do is just believe that in the goodness of people that want to do good things will rise to the top.
Bob, I love what you said there because it's really important. And I hope people get this. And it's not just you saying, if you can't afford me, you can't have me. This is about, I work at a certain level. That's where my expertise is. That's where I work really well. And so people who fit into that, I will help. And if you don't, I will try to send you in a direction that will be more helpful to you.
Absolutely.
But yourself. And then you look at the people and say, now, does that work with me? And if it doesn't, it doesn't. Right. I'm the guy who's working in the basement. You're up on the 5th or 6th floor somewhere. I'm the guy who works in the basement. I wouldn't work with people up on the 5th or 6th floor because that's not my specialty. My specialty is taking the people who don't have any means and don't have the motivation and trying to give them that. Right. Once they have the motivation, they're ready to move on to speak to somebody who could take that motivation and refine it and find goals and do these things. So we all have our areas. And if people would just know themselves enough to stay in your freaking lane, then everybody could, even some of these Yahoo coaches out there, even they could serve purpose as long as they stay in their lane. Stop trying to be everything to everybody because then you end up being just nothing to anybody. Yeah.
So well said. And I have clients that I do gratis, right? I don't do one-on-one clients because one, I don't like one-on-one. So if how I figured out with 2,500 was people would say, I want to do one-on-one coaching. I said, I don't want to do that.
Yeah. You don't want to say no.
But what would you do it for? And I go, nothing. I don't want to do it. And he goes, what would be the minimum you do it? I said, $2,500. He goes, there you go. And if you don't get one client, you're okay because you didn't want to do it anyways.
Yeah. You didn't say no. You didn't say no.
I really prefer groups. I prefer lessons. I prefer like the courses like you and I are talking about, Scott.
Yeah.
That's what I really prefer. I think that that's a much better approach for most people. And so it's real easy for me to say nothing below 2,500 for that because I don't really want to do that so much. Now, I have clients that pay me nothing and I do a lot of crisis intervention stuff. So obviously you're not going to be able to say, hey, give me a check before you speak. But
yeah, somebody's about to jump off a bridge.
Yeah.
You're like, listen,
Could you
I
do
think
this?
I can help you. However, what do you got in your pocket?
Yeah.
Because if you pull out mothballs, you're falling, buddy.
Well, I think also 2,500. A lot of times what happens when people don't have skin in the game,
Agree.
they don't
Yeah.
take it seriously,
Yeah.
right? And so we've used the word standard tonight quite a bit. Standard. And a lot of people are living their lives according to their feelings, right? So when you look at New Year's, you look at this huge increase in gym memberships, right? People live to their feelings. They're I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And so within a matter of days, it goes from they get up, I hit the gym. Then 2 days later, they reach over, hit the snooze button. Well, I don't feel like going. I don't feel like.
No.
But when someone's working with Bob, I'm just, if they're paying 2,500, it's a standard. It's a standard that they've set for themselves.
You're right. They put skin in the game, and they've like, listen, I've got to do this because I've already made a commitment that is not coming back. It's got to be done.
Well, their why. See, the person who's paying 2,500 has a very well developed why.
Yes.
Right. And the shortest distance between where I am and where I want to be is Bob.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Bob's intervention. So the value. So they see the value proposition of working with someone like Bob, because Bob is going to help them get there quicker. But here's the thing: if getting there, if that's like the person who wants to lose 100 pounds, and they lose the 100 and still feel like an empty shell. Like, well, is this all there was? Because they had an impotent goal.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It wasn't fulfilling.
Yeah.
So I think that creating that standard, not living to your feelings, but living to that standard that says, especially automotive. I mean, I've got one dealership in Brooklyn where the guy last year made $975,000 as a salesperson. 975.
Wow.
And you would think with that type of money, how many phone calls do you think he makes a day?
Mm-hmm.
Someone like that. He doesn't have to. Money's coming in.
Yeah.
But how many calls do you think he makes a day? He makes 150.
Right.
Consistent every day. And I asked him why. Why do you work so hard? He goes, because I don't know when this is going to end, Mark.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Well said.
I'm going to work as hard as I can for as long as I can. And I'm going to ride this wave because this will go back.
Yeah.
And people will use the words, how much over invoice can I pay for your car? But by the time that happens, he will have made so much money because he has a plan. He knows what he's doing with that money. He's very, very intentional. So that's the other thing, being intentional.
We're down to the last 12 minutes. So sure. I think we want to get some we want to make sure Lynn gets into her next group. So this has been really interesting, and we can go probably with this all day with everybody's past experiences and everything. And I'd love to know more about it. So we'll probably continue this at some other point. But right now, I mean, it's like, if you haven't allowed your life to be shaped by your past, how do you expect to help anybody else? So what are our final thoughts on the journey is our lessons and really, really embracing that stuff? Barry, let's start with you. What are your final thoughts on that? Well, you look like you're thinking, so we're going to go with you. Everybody else looks like, just,
Well, no, it's just I was reflecting
something
back,
shiny, just, good.
No, I was reflecting back on a conversation I had recently with a friend of mine who I did deep respect for because of what she's been through to where she is now. So kind of speaking that context, some of the most powerful leaders and speakers I know of, particularly in the field I play in, which is relationships and dating and stuff like that, ones that have been through the most maybe horrendous challenges of maybe abuse or challenges in past relationships or divorce, whatever that is. My co-host on my web show, she's widowed. So she's been through quite a lot of trauma in terms of the losing her partner. Yeah. But our show is a lot of light and fun and connection because we have deep respect for each other. And for me, that's the thing, getting back to the coach piece. The people who I do respect in the field of leadership and teaching and guiding, the ones who basically had enough experience to. It comes through their beingness, and for me, that's the people I love most because they're really authentic, they're real, and people I can relate to.
Right.
Love
yes.
it.
Absolutely.
Mark?
Great. That's great stuff. Mark.
Listen, the journey is the reward, right? There are no shortcuts to success. And the reality is, people beat themselves up and they allow limiting beliefs to hold them back. But just having that one thought, you know what, tomorrow is the first day of the rest of my life. And I'm gonna focus in a different direction and take action. A lot of people don't take action. So focus, mindset, understanding that, okay, you are where you are, but doesn't mean you have to stay there. A lot of people stay stuck because they don't ask the right questions. They stay stuck in the negativity. They play the blame game.
Absolutely.
I don't look in the mirror. Anyway, those are my 5.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Bob,
Thank
what
you,
do you think,
Mark.
buddy?
Yeah, I would probably go with there's 2 things I would ask. One is, what's my intention? What do I want to gain from this experience, from this book, from this movie, from this networking event? What do I want to gain? So I have an intention before, and then afterwards, what did I learn? What can I take away from this and use? And sometimes it's learn, like I think, like Lynn said, sometimes you learn what not to do from somebody, or this isn't the way I want to set up my business, or so. Those would be the 2 questions I would lean heavily on.
Absolutely. Excellent. Flo, darling.
I think reflection has a lot to do with it. How you reflect going through that journey, and how you either accept it and want to deal with it, or release whatever you want to release. And I mean, with anything, I think, with going through a divorce or whatever, any of that, when we were talking about our show yesterday, I loved that you and Teresa are still, and you have a show called Exes, Scott.
Yes.
I thought that was great. And then I thought, I don't think I could ever have anything with my ex because of this, and this. And it was just a reflection. And it was like, okay, it's just not going to happen.
Right.
So I think reflection and just dealing with whatever that reflection, and processing it.
That's it. Yeah, there we go. There's our show, The Exes with Teresa and I.
And I think that's great. I think that tells a lot. It tells me, a huge, about you, Scott, and Teresa.
Yeah.
That you guys can still be friendly.
Absolutely. Best friends. Best friends.
Yeah.
Because you
And
don't spend
that's
that much. You don't spend that much time with somebody if everything is broken. But the broken pieces, then we figured out how to deal with those, but we didn't throw away the good pieces, and that's what everybody does.
You said that.
We throw things away all the time. It's a throwaway society. We throw away TVs. We throw away this. Nobody fixes anything anymore. And relationships are a big part of that. It's like, how do you spend 10 years living with somebody and walk away and saying, I hate everything about them? That's not even possible. Right. It's a story we create so we don't have to deal with the issues that were the real problem. And Teresa and I get to deal with those issues today together and share with each other, and it makes our friendship that much deeper. So it's, I wish that wonderful for everybody.
Yeah.
And as far as this topic is concerned, in my growth and in my time, if I lived in blame, shame, and guilt, I would get nowhere. I'm the guy who watched people come and take their kids away from them. I'm the guy who watched my family fall apart, watched the house being sold out from under me. I'm the guy who didn't know where I was going to sleep at night or what I was going to eat. And I was the guy who watched the jail cell door close. And if I stayed stuck in all of those moments, and stayed shameful and guilty and horrible in those horrible places, I couldn't have anything today. The only reason I have things today is because I took each of those moments and I said, this has got meaning and purpose. And what is it going to be? And I get to define that meaning and purpose. That's the cool part. I get to define what that's going to mean in my life. And one of the things that I discovered that has changed my life immensely is that anyone who lives in the sunshine all the time does not appreciate the sunshine. I got to have night. I've got to have dark. I've got to have stormy weather so that when the sun comes out, I will have grace and gratitude. And so every time it gets a little bit dark, all I got to do is say, you know what, in my life, it takes very little for me to become a very grateful human being. A hug from my daughter, a moment on the phone with my son, cooking dinner for my mom who comes down and visits. Those are the most incredible moments of my life. I used to think winning the lottery was the moments I was waiting for. It wasn't. It was those moments, because I know what it's like to be without those things. So everything that took us down a dark path, everything that seemed like it was a struggle was put there so that we'll appreciate the times when it wasn't there. So that was important for me to learn. And I appreciate all of your journeys. And Lynn, I know your journey has been just as crazy as the rest of us. And
Well,
look where you are. You got people flocking to you and in your projects and everything.
Well, you know what, Scott? Think about it. We started out at 12 years, 12 years old, 6th grade, moved from Long Island to Syracuse. After you left town, I went through a lot of other stuff, but here my senior year, because we were supposed to graduate early, or to the same time, but I graduate a year early. But here 5 years later, we meet up before I graduate and we share a locker all year. And then we go all these years without talking, and you don't talk to barely anybody from school. And here we didn't even know we had podcasts that were similar. And it's just, again, when you connect the dots of how things go and the different chapters. I went one way for the chaos in my life. You went the opposite way, and look at where we're at now. So it's just amazing. We take everything, and when we talk, it's like you and I could talk about every subject, and it's just amazing. It's just, it's a blessing. And, together, I think it's just great. Some kids that got out of Syracuse, New York, that are doing greater things. So again, it's the journey that we go through and what we choose to pick. And, if we didn't reconnect, look at the friends we've made together. So that goes to show you.
Well, God bless all you guys. I'm going to ask each one of you, Barry, Mark, Bob, who we've discussed already, Flo, you as well. I would like to send you my training, and and it's going to be, I'll give you a free pass to get in and take the training and become certified interventionists under our accreditation. But I would love to share that with you guys, because your feedback has become important to me. We've gotten to know each other a little bit over the weeks, and I really appreciate. So if you guys wouldn't mind, I'll send those to you, and you guys can take the course and give me your feedback.
Love it.
And I would appreciate that.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm so proud of you, Scott.
Thank you so much, man.
And it's really cool because we have represented here. I don't know. I think we have Pacific, we've got Eastern. We don't have Central here, but we're in different time zones all coming together. And this has just been really an awesome time in our life. And we're going to impact everybody. And we're going to make, like I said, you cannot ever have too many tools in the tool belt.
That's right.
Because we need to, if you own a house, you need to know how to fix things. You have a car, you need to have the tire wrench thing, I mean, not everybody is lucky to have a AAA membership. But
I don't know. I've been called a tool many times, and it didn't seem like a compliment.
Lynn, when I was just gotten married and the kids were my twins, they were babies. A photographer came over, took a lot of pictures, and we had all these pictures without frames. My wife, Tom, and I, we go to a photo shop, and the guy says to my wife, Miss, he looks at the pictures, looks at her, goes, do you own a level? And she said, no, we rent a 2-family. I just said, this is my wife.
On that note, I'm glad we gotta go, you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Love you guys.
Thank you.
And
love and peace to all. Love and peace to all.
Love you guys.
Love you guys. God bless.
Bob. Take care,
Bye.
Barry.
Keeping me safe and sound. And when I fall, you